Hello everyone, I'm Alex,
And I'm Prasad.
and we both work as solution architects at AWS. I'm based in Stockholm,
I'm based in London.
and we are here today to talk about how you can enrich your existing .NET applications with AI services from AWS.
So before diving deep into the subject, let's look into why artificial intelligence and machine learning is important. IDC predicts by 2024, global spending on artificial intelligence will reach 110 billion. And according to Gartner, by the end of 2024, 75% of all enterprises will shift from piloting to operationalizing AI. Now, this is huge. And what it means for us as developers is that building applications with machine learning capabilities is a skill that we should be possessing. Now, our mission at AWS is to take the rich experience and expertise that we have gained over the years in using machine learning across Amazon and put it in the hands of every developer. Put in another way, we want to simplify machine learning. We want to make it easy for every developer to build intelligent applications. Now we think of machine learning in 3 layers. And at every layer, we are democratizing AI so that developers can move fast in adopting AI ML. Starting at the bottom, it is for expert practitioners who would like to build machine learning models on top of the framework of their choice, like TensorFlow, MXNet, PyTorch. It is for ML experts and practitioners who are comfortable building, tuning, training, deploying, and managing machine learning models themselves, working at the chip and the framework layer. And at the middle, we have Amazon SageMaker. Amazon SageMaker removes complexity at every step of the machine learning workflow, making it easy for developers and data scientists to build, train, and deploy machine learning models at scale. And at the top, we have AI services, both specialized and core. It allows developers to easily add intelligence to any application without needing ML skills. The pre-trained models provide ready-to-use intelligence for your applications and workflows. And this is what we are going to focus on today, our AI services, which allows developer to easily add intelligence to any application without needing ML skills. And you will see that if you're a .NET developer, how easily you can confirm these AI, you can consume these AI services through SDKs and APIs. Over to you, Alex.
As you all know, you can interact with AWS services in different ways. You can interact with them using AWS console if you want to do everything manually. Or you can use our REST APIs to call these AWS web services. Or you can use CLI, our command line interface, if you want to interact using command line. But for you as a developer, you would probably use our SDKs, software development kit. So we have SDKs available for different programming languages, such as Python, Java, JavaScript, Node.js, and others. And of course, we have SDK for .NET. As you would expect, SDK for .NET is distributed as a set of NuGet packages, and it gives you programmatic access to all AWS services, including AI services, which we are going to talk about today. SDK for .NET hides all the complexity of how you interact with AWS services. You don't need to know if the service accepts XML or JSON as a payload. You don't need to know how to pass parameters, either in request body or in headers. You don't need to know how to sign the request. So all the implementation details are hidden by SDK. So by using SDK for .NET, you just import required NuGet packages, write your C# code where you provide a request, response, call the service, and all with C# classes, which you all know. And when you consume AWS services, you have very consistent coding pattern. So what you need to do is first to import NuGet package. Then you add appropriate namespaces into your code. Then you instantiate the client object of a service which you are going to use, and you provide some parameters, like in this example endpoint, probably will provide credentials and some other parameters. Then you compose your request, and request is a typed object, so you get all the help from your development environment, like IntelliSense, built-in help. So you provide request, you call the appropriate service method, and you get the response back. And then what you do, you receive your response, and then you do what you need to do, like in your application. Maybe you display some data back, or you send it to further processing, but again, it's up to you. But as you see, I want to emphasize it again, that SDK hides the all implementation details under the hood. So you don't see here how the service is, what kind of payload the service is expecting. Is it XML or JSON? You don't see here how you sign request in the correct way or how to pass parameters. You just use plain C# classes, and SDK does the rest.
Cool. So the first AI service we are going to cover today is Amazon Comprehend. It is a fully managed and continuously trained service that discovers insights and relationships in text. It provides simple API that any developer can use in order to get insights from text. Amazon Comprehend has pre-trained models that can do multiple things for you. Like it identifies entities when you provide documents to it, such as like places, people, brand, events. It can even identify personally identifiable information and mask it if required, or redact it based on the use case. It determines the language of the text. It can extract the key phrases, understand how positive or negative the sentiment of the text is, and automatically organize a collection of text files by topic. So let's look into it in action. Alex.
Yeah, so let me switch to my development environment, and I'm using JetBrains Rider here. So our first demo will be about Comprehend. And first I will show you the demo, and I will next walk you through the code. So what I want to do now is to detect the entities in the text. So here I have a text which I copied from our conference start page. So this is information about our Enterprise.NET Developer Days 2022. And what I want to do, I want to detect the entities from this text. So I'm calling the API, and indeed Comprehend tells me that, okay, .NET Enterprise Developer Days, it's an event, .NET is a title, AWS and Amazon Web Services, this is the organization, September 7th, it's the date, and Palmer Events Center, it's a location. So all these entities were extracted from this piece of code. Okay, let's switch to the code and see how it looks like. So first, there are 4 things you need to do in order to interact with AWS services from your .NET code. So first, you need to install NuGet package. And I already have Comprehend NuGet package installed in my project. Second, you need to configure dependency injection container. And again, I already added Comprehend service to DI container. So, and Amazon Comprehend client, it implements Amazon Comprehend interface. So what I'm providing the instance of the client, and I'm providing the endpoint. The third thing, I already injected this service in my dependency injection container. Now I can add it to the constructor of a page. So here I'm just injecting this Amazon Comprehend client, and now I can start using it. So if I go to the method, this post entities async. First, I'm composing the request. So I'm creating this detect entities request, which comes from comprehend NuGet package. And then I'm providing the input text, and the text is just bound to the field on the form. And I'm providing the language code, which is English in this example. The second thing I'm going to do, I'm just calling the comprehend client and providing the request, which I just composed. And I'm getting the response back. And the response contains the collection of entities. So in my simple example, I'm just looping through this collection of entities and putting them back to the UI so we can display it. So this was first simple example. The second example I want to show is how you can detect personal identifiable information using comprehend. So again, like imagine that you have a contact form on a website, and then customer fills the contact form with his like details. Okay, my name is John, this is my credit card number, and yeah, he wants to get information about like what has happened with specific transaction. So let's go to comprehend and see what kind of information, what kind of personal identifiable information we can get from this text. And what we get is John Stanley is a name. We get social security number of this person, some date time when we identified that this is the credit card number, starting with 5412. Then this is the bank account number, and also the street address of this person. And then it's up to you as a developer, based on the requirements of your application, what to do with this personal identifiable information. So probably you want to mask it so no one can see it, or probably you can have like workflow based on this information on how to send this request further. If it relates to bank account, then okay, maybe you will send it to bank account team to do some kind of validation. But again, like we provided this information, we extracted all this personal identifiable information, and then you can interact or do the processing according to your business requirements. And the last feature which I want to show is the detection of language. So I have this sample text about AWS, and it's in French. So let's see if comprehend can detect what language this text is in. So I just pasted the code and call the detect language method. And it says that the dominant language is French. Now let me show how the code looks like for these two methods which I just showed you. And again, you will see the same consistent coding pattern. So the method which detects the personal identifiable entities. So again, we compose request, and the request of a type detect PII entities request. We provide the input text and the language code. Then we call detect PII entities method on the comprehend client, get the response back, and again we just loop through the entities which we got in response, and we are outputting the type of the entity, score, which is the confidence score, and then position in the text. And exactly similar pattern when we detect the languages. So again, we compose the request, and the only thing we need to provide in the detect dominant language request is the text which we are analyzing. Then we are calling comprehend client to detect the language and get the language code back. So actually we will receive a list of languages because the text can contain multiple languages, but we are getting the first dominant language, and we outputted this language code which we received. So again, same simple, consistent development coding pattern, and it's only few lines of code you need to write in order to use this comprehend AI service. Over to you, Prashad.
Awesome. That was pretty cool demo of the use cases that comprehend has. But that's not all. Comprehend can do even more. Like as you see, it can extract entities, it can even extract key phrases, and it can even detect the sentiment For example, as you see on the screen, the first sentence is, let's say, the burger was delicious, but it was soggy. So it's kind of a mixed sentence, like it has a positive element as well as a negative element. It was able to identify that and give the sentiment as a mixed response with 0.99 confidence. In the second example, both the entities are having a positive response, like the tacos were delicious and the staff was friendly. So both of these entities have a positive sentiment attached to it. So overall, the sentiment is confidence. With 99% confidence, it says it is positive. So now think about this. Whatever products you are selling, if you are able to gather all the information from various channels, let's say social media channel or your call center contact traces, right? If you're able to provide all of that to comprehend, it will be able to provide you with the entities and the sentiments attached to it, so that you can actually focus on the issues that needs to be resolved. So there are pretty different kinds of use cases that Comprehend provides, which can help you real life, problems. But let's move on to our next AI service, which is Amazon Translate. Amazon Translate is a neural machine learning translation service that delivers fast, high quality, affordable, and customizable language translation. Now, there are three main pillars for any organization to become truly and fully global: content localization, multilingual communication, and text and media analysis. Amazon Translate helps you with all three of them. With Amazon Translate, you can localize content such as websites and applications for your diverse users. You can efficiently enable cross-lingual communication between users and easily translate large volumes of text that is produced in different languages for analysis. The neural machine translation that Amazon Translate uses, behind the scenes it uses deep learning models for language translation automation. It delivers more accurate and more natural sounding translation compared to the traditional statistical based or rule based translation algorithms. It performs language to language translation in context, producing fluent and complete sentences. It is trained on multiple domains like finance and other domains. And it is easy getting started with Translate. It is available through .NET SDKs, and as you will see in a moment, its implementation requires just few lines of code. Over to you, Alex.
Yes, in previous example, we we analyzed that the text which we provided is in French. What we want to do now is to translate this text into English. So imagine the scenario when customers are giving feedback on the products, and you want to display this feedback in English so that everyone can read it. So let's add the translation functionality to our application, and let's do it from scratch. So first, as I mentioned, the first thing you need to do is to add a NuGet package. So let's add the translation NuGet package. So what I'm adding now is AWS SDK .translate. So this is the NuGet package which implements the Amazon Translate AI service. Okay, so we install the NuGet package. NuGet package is installed. So the second thing I need to do is to add this service to the DI container. And I will do the same thing which I already did with Comprehend. So I'm adding Amazon Translate interface. when I'm implementing Amazon Translate client. And I'm providing the endpoint. Okay, now I registered the service in my dependency injection container. Now I can use it on my web page. So first I need to inject it into the constructor. So again, Amazon Translate client. I need to create a private variable for it. Okay, so I injected translation client into my page. Now I can use it. So this is the method which detects the language. So now I want to add translation functionality. So first I'm creating the translation request. So I'm creating translate text request. And when I want to translate the text, I need to provide 3 parameters. So first, it's the text which I want to translate, which we get from the form. Then I need to provide the source language code, and the source language code is the one which we detected using comprehend. And then I need to provide the target language code, and we want to translate it from any language which is supported by comprehend into which is supported by translate into English. Okay, we created request. Now we will call a translation client to get the response back. And the method is asynchronous. So I'm calling translate client, and then I'm calling translate text async method and providing the request which we just composed. So I get a response back, and now I want to display it. So we're adding it to our string builder. So I got the response back, and the response contains the translated text property. So this is something we want to display. Basically, that's it. So let's run the application again. Again, let's copy our French text, paste it to the form, and call this detect language method, which not only detects the language, but it's French, but also does the translation from French to English. So we used comprehend to detect the language, and then we used Amazon Translate to translate it from French to English in this example. Over to you, Prashad.
Thanks. So yeah, I think you guys can appreciate how easy it is to use AI services in a .NET code. Just few lines of code and it gets up and running. So let's move on to our next AI service that we are going to cover, Amazon Textract. It's a machine learning service that automatically extracts text, handwriting, and data from scanned documents. It goes beyond simple OCR, which is optical character recognition, to identify, understand, and extract data from forms and tables. There are multiple, scenarios in which Textract can be used. For example, Textract extraction functionality returns results in 3 hierarchy: page, line, and word. It is used for dense text documents such as legal contracts to provide industry-leading OCR accuracy. Another example is table extraction. Textract provides all relationships you need to understand tabular data. It preserves the composition of the data stored in the tables during extraction. This is helpful to documents that are largely composed of structured data, such as financial reports or medical records that have column names in the top row of the table followed by rows of individual entries. And we have form extraction. Similar to tabular data, Textract provides all relationships you need: the recognized key value pair and the form field, and the field value names, along with the visual geometry boxes, confidence scores, row index, column index, etc. This makes it easy to import the extracted data into database or to provide it as a variable into an application. And finally, the identity documents. Now, this is a quite common scenario where we need to, match the identities by looking into the identity documents. Now, Analyze ID can extract data from information from identity documents such as passports, driver license, and state IDs issued by United States without the need of any templates or configuration. The core use case of this capability is ID verification, online registration, billing, etc. Now let's see a few of these in action. Alex.
Yes, let's see how we can use Textstruct in our .NET application. And here I have one example. Imagine that you are building expense reporting application, and users of the application were submitting the receipts to get the expenses back. And what you want to do, you want to implement validation, but the receipt that the user is submitting has the same total amount that the user is claiming. So let's get our sample receipt, and I have this receipt from the Whole Foods, and let's see what Textstruct can extract from it. So this is our receipt, which I just submitted, and you see that Textstruct identified that, okay, vendor name is Whole Foods Market, the total amount is $55, this is a subtotal, this is the tax, and these are all line items of this receipt. So imagine what kind of functionality you can implement using the Textstruct service and the way how Textstruct can extract information from your receipts. You can do any kind of validation for your application. Now, how the code looks like. And as you would expect, it implements the same simple coding pattern which we already showed you. So I added the NuGet package for Textstruct, and then I registered the Textstruct service in the DI container. Then I injected the service into the constructor of my page, and now I can use it. So first few lines of code is just uploading of the image. So this is a standard ASP.NET code, which is nothing. There is nothing like related to our AI services, but this is where the actual call to our Textstruct AI service starts. So first we are creating the request, and we have this specialized support for expense requests. So we have this analyze expense request, and what we're providing the document in the form of just a memory stream. And again, we call Textstruct client. We call the analyze expense async method from Textstruct. And what we get back is the expense documents. So, and this document, again, this is a typed object, so you can see all the properties with all the help available. So what we want to display, first we iterate through summary fields, and then we got the line items from the document. And line items were grouped, so but we will just omit the grouping, and we just display the price and title of each line item. And this is something you see here. So what we're displaying, it's for every line item, we're just displaying the title and the price. But again, like, I want to emphasize that you see here exactly the same simple coding pattern which we use with all other services. Create request, call the Textstruct client and provide this request as an input, get a response back, and then iterate through different fields of response to compose the output you need. Over to you, Prashad.
Oh, so do you want to cover Textstruct queries,
yes,
Alex?
There is another feature which I want to show. It's the Textstruct queries. So what is Textstruct queries? So this is the feature of Textstruct. It's a pre-built model, AI model, where you can ask simple text questions and get the response back from your document. So imagine that you have this payslip from your employer. So you can ask the questions like, okay, what is the gross pay? Or what is the employee's social security number? So you ask a question in plain language, natural language, and you get like one specific response back. Okay, for example, what is the gross pay? It's $23,000. So what is the employee's social security number? Okay, this is the social security number. So you don't need to train this AI model. So it's pre-trained on a set of like different like standard documents, like pay slips or bank loan applications and others, and it will work with other type of documents as well. Also, it can understand the context of the query to provide the correct answer. So in this example, we have a bank loan form, and in this form, information about borrower and co-borrower is provided. And there is like date of birth field, both for borrower and for co-borrower. So what you can do with textstruct queries is that you can ask questions like, okay, what is the borrower date of birth? Or what is the co-borrower date of birth? And textstruct query will provide correct answers based on the context, based on the nested fields. So it will provide like, it will return like either the date of birth of borrower, because this is the part of the form, or date of birth of co-borrower. And I will show it in the demo in a few seconds. And also same goes for forms, because textstruct queries, they can locate information from tables and forms, taken into account what is the layout of these forms, like what is the layout of a table, what are the rows, what are the columns. For example, this vaccination record card, so you can ask the questions, okay, like what is the second dose, what is the first dose, and it will, textstruct query will return like the correct cell value based on the question you asked. So it will take into account the titles of the columns, titles of the rows, and give back the correct answer. So let me show it in a demo. So what I have here is the sample form for university grant. And I can ask a question like, okay, what is the administrative telephone number? But let me show how it looks like. So this is the grant application form. And as you can see, there are different types of phone numbers. So there is just a phone number, then there is a application organization, then there is administrative phone number, then there is like official sign-in phone number. So I asked the question, okay, what is the administrative telephone number? And it returned me actually this value, administrative official telephone number. So textstruct query, it understood like the context, what I'm asking, and returned like correct value. For example, if I remove the word administrative and ask the question, okay, what is the telephone? And provide the same form. So, okay, just what is the telephone? I would expect that it will return me this number, which ends with 6113. So let's submit the query. And indeed, it returned me the telephone number from this cell. So textstruct query, it understood the context, what is the surrounding fields, and then it returned me correct value. And the last example I want to show, for example, we use the same receipt from Whole Foods, and I can ask the question, what is the total? And again, this is the receipt, and I get like only one response back. What is the total? And it's 5164. So I don't need to parse the document myself. I don't need to do any query understanding of whatever fields, how they're related. So I can just simply ask these questions and get like one response back. How the code looks like, as you would expect, it's again very quite simple pattern. I'm composing the request. So I'm composing this query request, and what I'm saying, okay, this is the document which I want to analyze, and I'm enabling this feature called queries, and I'm providing the configuration for queries. So what I'm providing is the text for the question which I'm going to ask. I'm calling then extract client analyze document async method to analyze the document, and then I'm getting result back. I have different blocks of a text which extract identified, but I'm only interested in the query result, which I'm just returning back and displaying. Okay, over to you, Prashad.
Cool. That is pretty cool, actually. So it can actually, so now you understand what we mean by adding intelligence to your applications, right? So they're pretty cool use cases, and we'll cover one of them in the wrap-up section. But before that, let's look into another AI service. The last AI service that we are going to see demo for today is Amazon Rekognition. It's an image and video analysis service. It offers pre-trained machine learning models and customizable computer vision capabilities to extract information and insights from your images and videos. As you can see on the screen, Amazon Rekognition offers a wide variety of features that can be used for various types of use cases. It makes it easy to add image or video analysis to your applications. You just provide an image or video to the Rekognition API, and the service can identify the objects, people, text, scenes, and activities, as well as detect any inappropriate content. It provides highly accurate facial analysis and facial recognition, even with the live stream video. You can detect, analyze, and compare faces for a wide variety of user verification, cataloging, people counting, celebrity recognition, public safety like PPE detection use cases. Again, let's look at a quick demo. Oh, before that, for this use case, like a virtual proctoring, a use case that every developer would be able to relate to is while giving an online certification. It requires to verify the ID, ensure that the person who has submitted the ID is the person who is actually giving the examination. So in case if there is more than one person in the frame, it is going to flag it. If there is some other person who is giving the exam, it is going to flag it. And it is very easy to automate all of this with the video stream and the ID documents that you have using Amazon Rekognition, so that no one needs to manually proctor these online examinations. Cool. Now let's switch to the demo.
Yes. So let me quickly show a couple of demos with Amazon Rekognition. So first demo, I will show how Rekognition can identify personal protective equipment. So imagine that you need to detect if persons who are entering your facility, if they have protective equipment, and if not, it will flag it, so you can ensure that people on your facility are wearing protective equipment. So here I have an image of a person in a warehouse, and you can see that Amazon Rekognition detected that on the face there is a face cover, and indeed the face cover is true. And also in the warehouse there is a head, and the head cover is true. Or I can detect same like on a person, like on a street, for example. So there is a woman in a street, and as you can see, Amazon Rekognition detected that this woman is wearing a face mask, and it detects that it's true. How the code looks like, as you would expect, it's again quite simple. So first you create the detect personal protective equipment request, and you provide the image which you want Rekognition to analyze, and you just provide the image as a memory stream. And then you call the detect protective equipment request, providing this request, and you get response back. And again, in this response, if there are multiple persons in the image, you get the list of persons in this image, Each person have different body parts like head, face, hands, and but for each body part we can see if equipment is detected, what kind of equipment, if the equipment is on or off. And another quick example I want to show is how the Rekognition can extract the labels from the images. So imagine I have a wine label and I want to detect the text on this wine label. As you can see, the quality of this image is not that good. It uses different kind of fonts with like shadows located in different parts of the label. But what Rekognition was able to do is to detect the type of the wine, what is the vineyards, what is the kind of wine. So it detected all the text on this wine label. So again, if you want to have application, for example, which does the detection of a text on a label for some processing, you can use Rekognition to do that. Over to you, Prashant.
Cool, that's awesome. So let's move to the final section, wrap up our resources. So a quick summary of what we looked into today. We focused on AI services, the core part of it, and we saw the demo of text extract, comprehend, translate, Rekognition. There are other kinds of services. For example, in case if you want to build chatbots, you can use Amazon Lex. If you want to use, let's say, speech to text or text to speech, you can use Poly or Transcribe. And you have seen how easy it is to consume these services in a .NET application, right? But let's talk about a real life example. So we have seen individually how you can integrate each of this, AI service into your application. But now it's up to you that how you can use these services to build real life use cases. Now let me tell you my experience about revamping a remortgage platform of a bank. This was around 4 to 5 years back when I was consulting for a bank in UK. Their remortgage platform was a huge monolithic .NET legacy application, and there was a manual step required at every step of the process. We did modernize it by splitting the monolith to microservices and sure automated like few of the stuff back then. But knowing what I know today, this is how I would have solved that manual document processing step. Now this blog was published recently and the code snippets are in Python, but we can easily code the same in any language including .NET, and you have seen that how easy it is. The intelligent document processing involves multiple steps like capturing the data, classification, extracting, enriching that data, and then validation, finally sending it for the consumption to the downstream systems. And this blog explains in great detail the architecture, or how it is done, and how Amazon Text Extract, Comprehend with few other services are used for it. You can integrate more services into it, like Rekognition for identity verification, right? So it's up to you how you would like to use these services to build or solve the real life problems. Now for the resources, all the source code that we have looked into today is available at this GitHub link. If you're a .NET developer and are looking to get started with AWS and AI/ML services of AWS, we do have a workshop called .NET Developer Dojo. And in case if you're building an application from scratch, like what we have seen today is integrating these AI services into your existing applications. But let's say if you're building a greenfield application, a greenfield intelligent application, then we have an example of building a serverless application for AWS text to speech, along with the entire code base in the GitHub. With that, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.